Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here with another Gold Challenge Mode guide in the Protection Warrior No Death Knight in the group series. It's a bit of a mouthful. So today we are in Grimrail Depot and we are running a Prot Warrior, Resto Druid, BM Hunter, Boom Chicken and an Enhancement Shaman. So what we do here, as you can see, is we invis through the first section. If you had a rogue in your group, you'd be using their AoE stealth here. Would mean you've still got your DPS and mana pots up for the rest of the instance, which just makes a huge difference. So take advantage of that if you can. So you see we invis into the first room, click off your invis pot and you're going to pull that padding overseer and you are going to drag it over onto Borka to start the fight here. Now right from the start here you can see that Rocket Spark will jump around and put red circles under players' feet. This is called his target eliminator and you want to be the fuck away from the red circles because if you stand in them they do an arse ton of damage and your healer, if you're on a Prot Warrior, is already having a hard enough time healing you. Now Borka's going to cast a thing called Mad Dash, and this will be when Rocket Spark is on top of a set of crates, and what you want to do is you want to use that Mad Dash, line it up and knock Rocket Spark down with the dash. Now when Rocket Spark gets knocked down, this is where you're going to want to pop your first heroism. This is because when Borka knocks Rocket Spark down, he will take double damage and is stunned. So you want to use this chance to get as much DPS as possible into Rocket Spark as you can. Now just a heads up for warrior tanks out there that are doing this. While your healer's getting into a rhythm at the start, or in our case, getting nature locked, big dumb jai, you're going to take some really large damage spikes through this fight. The extra Overseer beating on you doesn't help, and even Borka's Mad Dash will do quite a bit of damage to you. So you just need to be prepared for some of them. And you can see I've been through Shield Wall, Last Stand, Enraged Regen, so really kind of try and monitor, have your health pots, your health stones, because you are going to take quite large spikes of damage during this fight. I also should mention that we never focus the Overseer down. All you're doing is cleaving off Borka to get that Overseer down, so don't waste DPS tunneling the Overseer, just cleave it down over time. Now something else I should mention that's new into the challenge mode here is Borka's Slam. Now what this will do is it will interrupt and spell lock you if you are casting when that slam hits. So if you are a caster DPS or a healer, you need to be paying attention to the slam cast, otherwise you will get locked out of that school of magic you're casting. I don't know how long it's for, but in challenge modes the last thing you want to be doing is, you know, sitting there with your thumb up your ass. So you want to make sure that you're not standing in the red circles, you're watching the slams, your tank's lining up the Mad Dash and DPS aren't standing in front of it. And as you see there, you want to try and kill them as close together as possible. If you are going to kill one first, make sure you kill Borka first before Rocket Spark. If you kill Rocket Spark first, Borka will go nuts and just do insane damage to your tank. So once Borka and Rocket Spark are down, your healer can get a quick drink in and you want to get up the ramp and onto the first Grimrail Bombardier. Now what we do here is we pull the first one, we wait till it gets low and then we start moving to the second one. You just need to avoid standing in bombs here. You'll also notice that the Bombardiers put a rending debuff on your tank. It does do quite a bit of damage. Some groups actually pull all three of these together. What we did in other groups was kill one and then pull the last two together. On the Prot Warrior, however, the damage was significantly higher, so we just decided to sort of kill one when it got low and try and chain them into each other, so to speak. Now one thing for tanks to monitor here, as you can see, is really fucking annoying. If you line of sight them, whether you're on the flat and they're on the ramp or you go around the corner too quickly, sometimes the ads will de-aggro off you, and as you saw there, that one had a major hard-on for Neo and just wouldn't leave him alone. And I was right there, I had thread on him, but because I was up on the flat part and he was still on the ramp, I must have created a line of sight and he just kept running off every time I'd torn him back. So just watch out for that. Handling these one at a time on the Prot Warrior really isn't a problem. We probably could have got through two, to be honest, and I probably could have just used a shield wall. We probably would have been fine, but again, we two-shot this, so we were sort of still learning as we were getting it, I suppose you could say. So once the three Bombardiers are down, you're going to want to use some kind of speed boost or heroic leap, get ahead, start the cinematic and get into the first train carriage. Now in this first pull you're going to have in the train carriage, you're going to have one gunner and three infantry. Now the gunner's going to be your focus here. It's going to do that thing you can see there called Shrapnel Blast. All you want to do is having it facing away from your party, sidestep out of the way, continue to DPS, go back in front of it, move out of the way like that. The main thing is don't have it pointing at your party, so just use the door for a landmark, for example. As long as it's facing away, my group's fine. Now once the gunner's down, technically I should have dragged the rest of those infantry into this next pack, because the infantry really do nothing. Now in the second carriage, we are going to pull this entire train carriage, so warriors, we can just run around the corner, drop a mocking banner and come back to this point. Tanks, be very careful of line of sighting your healer here. As you can see, there is a fuck ton of shit here. So drop a mocking banner, come back to a safe place, drop your Ravager. I've gone through shield wall, enraged regen. These mobs hit quite hard. You're going to get 3 infantry, 2 grenadiers, 1 boomer, 1 Hulk and 1 Cinderseer in this pack. Now you need to watch for the Hulk. The Hulk will get a buff called Getting Angry. You need to trank, soothe or shiv that off ASAP. Otherwise it'll keep building and it will eventually one-shot your tank. It just keeps building up. The other mobs to take note of in this carriage are the boomers. They'll do a thing called mortar attack. You just need to watch out for it and move out of the way. The Cinderseer will cast a thing called Lava Wreath on a ranged target. It silences them. It'll drop off if you move 12 yards away from other players. The Cinderseer will also drop a thing on the ground called Flame Tongue, which you can stun and stop that from happening. So once that second train carriage is clear, we're going to move up to the third carriage, and I'm going to pull the first pack and I'm going to line of sight them around the door. I'm having everybody move back far enough because the shrapnel blast the first time will actually come towards where my party's standing. Then I'm going to move into the door, stand out on this ramp so all the shrapnel blasts are facing me. Then every time I can just move inside like you see me doing here. Now in this first pack you're going to get 2 infantry, 2 gunners and 1 grenadier. Again, the gunners are your big focus. You want to smash them down as fast as you can. And just make sure that you are moving out of shrapnel blast. When you're moving as the tank, just make sure you're vocal in regards to where the shrapnel blasts are facing. You've got a whole carriage that people can move back in, so there's no real excuse for getting hit if people are paying attention. So once that first pack's down, we're going to move in to the third carriage, and we're going to fight this next pack in the third carriage. Now this next pack's going to have 1 Cinderseer, 2 boomers, 1 infantry and another Hulk. So again, with the Hulk you need to watch its Getting Angry buff. You can see it's up to 5 there. Neo was tranking them off at around 4 or 5 just so he wouldn't go focus starved otherwise. But tanks, just be mindful of that as you're obviously going to cop a fair bit of damage. With the Flame Tongue you can see the fire on the ground there. It's pretty simple. When there's fire on the ground, move out of the way. If you ever had a Death Knight in your group, you'd just be popping army through these pulls, but obviously we're doing this without a DK, and it's still very manageable. Like, we're still doing fine. We're not pulling 2 of those packs together, but killing them 1 at a time is still fine. So once we've got that second pack down, we're on to the last pack in the third carriage, the 2 Cinderseers, 1 gunner, 1 boomer and 1 grenadier. Again here, watch the shrapnel blast from the gunner, be mindful of where you're facing them. Watch the Flame Tongue. When there's fire on the ground you need to move away. When you're moving it means the shrapnel blast is going to go in a different direction, so tanks, be calling that out to your group in regards to where they need to move. And the grenadiers, they'll be casting their mortar ability. Again, just make sure you're moving out of the way of that. We don't actually die through any of this, but if you do die, Grimrail's fantastic in regards to the respawn point is so short. So if you do die and there's mobs still up, start kiting back towards the start of the train if it's a healer or a tank that's died, and you can kill them on the way back and you can run and rejoin your group. So if you do wipe in there, don't necessarily think you have to reset and it's the end of the world. So once we've cleared all the training packs, we are onto the second boss, Nitrog. So we're pulling Nitrog. Now phase 1's super easy, it's just don't stand in his Blackrock mortar attack. Pew pew him to 60%, he'll then take off to his assault cannon at the other end of the train. Now this is the phase of the boss where you're going to make up a hell of a lot of time, or you're going to lose a lot of time. Now we actually, for the first time in a long time, we actually fuck this up. We end up losing one of our cannons, and I'll kind of talk to you as we go through that. But basically, each time you kill an elite mob in this, you're going to be able to loot their corpse and use something that they drop. So to go through them, the boomers will drop a Blackrock mortar shell, which you can pick up and use on the boss cannon to do 25% damage to it. The gunner will drop shrapnel, which is to be used in the cannons, and you'll use that on your elite mobs, the boomers, and the gunners, etc. Don't use it on the shitty infantry mobs though. And the grenadiers will drop grenades. You can loot them and you can throw them at the boss cannon or the elite mobs, or save them for Nitrog at the very end. So the first two adds to spawn here are going to be a gunner and a boomer. Again, you're going to focus down the gunner. Then in the third pack of adds, you will get a double boomer spawn. Now, you remember what I was talking about, the boomers and them dropping the Blackrock mortar shell, which do 25% damage to the boss cannon? Well, that's 75% all up once we've done the 3 of them after the third wave. So what we've got is Neo tunneling the boss assault cannon in melee range. The reason he is in melee range is when the fire you can see spreading around the boss cannon comes, it will always go to melee range if you have someone tunneling the boss cannon in melee range, which means we have this whole middle section to move and not worry about fire. So our goal here is to have Neo do 25% damage by the end of the third wave, and that way we can have used the 3 Blackrock mortar shells for our 75% damage, and we will have popped the boss out. Now, as you can see here, we ended up fucking losing a cannon, which means when the boss comes out, we usually try and save shrapnel, we put him in the middle and we just blast him down. Now, we've only got 1 cannon up now, which is, I mean, we still get through it and we still get gold, but it is far from ideal and we lose quite a bit of time on it. So with the gunners and the shrapnel that they drop, you want to be picking up, as I said, and you want to be using it on the elite mobs, but you want to make sure that you are saving some for the boss. Now, as you can see, we've got we're popping him out now, and nobody, you can see on the frames there for the party, nobody has shrapnel. So the boss is up, nobody's in a cannon, we don't have any shrapnel. So we are already, technically the boss should already be dead, like we've already lost a shitload of time. Cade's just picked up shrapnel now. He is running into the cannon, he's in the cannon now, and now we're nuking the boss down. Now you can see just how much damage this shrapnel does to the boss, and how quick it died once it was, but we would have lost easily 20 seconds there. So once Nitrog is down, you are going to want to come up to the slag cart. We've all gone in and we've gone left immediately. I can heroic leap down or whatnot. You can AMS and run through the fire. If you don't have any kind of speed boost or something like that, wait for the fire to go left, wait for it to go right. When it despawns on the left, then run up. What we're going to do on this final carriage is we are going to pull the first Farseer. We're going to get this guy down as quick as we can. We're going to make sure we don't stand in the thunder zone, as you can see there, and we're also going to make sure we interrupt the storm shield, as that does a fuck ton of damage too. But just interrupt the storm shield, watch the thunder zone, and you'll be fine. So once that first Farseer is down, we are going to go big dick and we are going to pull this entire train carriage. So guys, Mocking Banner, pop your Ravager down, use your shockwaves. You're probably going to have to use a lot of your cooldowns to get through this, as this pack does hit quite hard. You're going to get 7 loaders, 2 Farseers, 2 scouts, and 1 captain. Now the captain is a mob of interest here. It's going to do an AoE 360 cleaving ability called Reckless Strikes. So I've put a skull on its head just so we know where it is. Basically all you want to do is when Reckless Strikes comes up, you just want to be sidestepping out of range of that AoE and then moving back in. The scouts are going to put down Arcane Blitz, which are those little purple swirly things you can see on the ground, and you don't want to be standing in them. And as I mentioned with the Farseers, they're going to put the Thunder Zones down. They're going to cast the Storm Shield, and you want to be interrupting that if you can. So once we've killed the last carriage, we are on to the last boss, Skylord Torva. Now in our last group, we were pulling her at like 2 minutes 30. We actually ended up pulling her at 1 minute 42 here. So just it shows how much we fucked up on that second boss. We really hurt ourselves with that. So Skylord Torva, the biggest thing to managing this fight here is the breath from her rifle. Now as you can see, if you look at the train carriage now, it's like split into 3 parts. Now we're all standing on the far left if you're looking at my camera angle, and that diffused energy has all gone onto that left panel. So now we've all moved into the middle, and when you see the next breath that's going to come back, it will all go on the middle one, then we can move over to the far right. So it's a really easy way to manage that diffused energy. You can also see that she'll drop like frost traps or snares on random people. You don't want to stand in them, it'll snare you in place. If you get a breath on or you get caught in a spear for it, it's going to do quite a bit of damage to you, and it's obviously far from ideal. Now as you can see, the spear is sometimes hard to dodge with all the writing that's going on. I actually moved out of the way into it there. It does do a bit of damage to you, and it's obviously not damage you want to be taking, so just be mindful of watching which way she is facing when she casts that spear throw, and try and move out of the way. Now on this next breath that comes down, I actually thought she will do an eventual breath that will cover the entire train carriage, and I actually thought that that was the breath that was coming, and I end up fucking leaping down to the other end of the platform. Look here, like the whole platform's covered, and I'm like, fuck. And then look how much cleared up from the last one when it diffused. So like, I could have moved 2 steps, into that middle panel, and she would have been dead by now. Instead, everybody had to run down the other end. But we still end up making gold. We actually got it by 8 seconds in the end, so not a great buffer zone, obviously, but we still end up getting it. So that is it, guys. That is Grimrail on the Protection Warrior with no Death Knight in the group. As you can see, it is very manageable. You just have to be mindful and be quite liberal with your cooldowns, guys. Your shield walls, your last stands, and your enrage regens. They're there for a reason, and you have to know the mobs and maybe use them a little bit in advance rather than waiting for oh shit to hit the fan. But that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck.